Opposition targets the Narendra Modi government on China. Breaks silence on China.
इस सदन में चर्चा चाहते हैं जो चाइनीज आक्रमण कर रहा है उसके बारे में सदन को इंफॉर्मेशन दो.
Stop Jhula diplomacy with China. Discuss China in Parliament.
सबसे पहले सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा तो इंडिया चाइना का इशू है. हम बार बार कह रहे हैं इस पर चर्चा होनी चाहिए.
Government counters the opposition offensive.
कोई संवेदनशील मुद्दा को राजनीतिक मुद्दा बना करके देश के सामने में इसको उछालेंगे और गुमराह करेंगे, ये अच्छी बात नहीं है.
As the government and opposition spar on China, is India's divided political class actually advantage China? That's our top focus on India First. The opposition wants the government to give details of what transpired in 16 rounds of border talks at the level of corps commanders between India and China, and also explain why China is so aggressive along the 3,500-kilometer long India-Tibet boundary. The opposition clearly not impressed with the response of the Union Defence and the External Affairs Ministers, claiming the response hides more than it reveals. I'm Gaurav Sawant. Much more on the political debate on the India-China situation along the line of actual control. But first, as always, the headlines. Massive alarm bells over China's COVID surge. Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia reviews COVID situation in India, urges caution, says COVID is not yet over. India steps up surveillance measures. Political face-off after centre writes to Rahul Gandhi and Ashok Gehlot over Congress Party's Bharat Jodo Yatra, says either adhere to COVID norms or suspend the Yatra. The Congress hits back, says it's an attempt to derail the Yatra amidst BJP's fears of the Yatra's success. Maharashtra-Karnataka border dispute rages. Bommai government vows to bring out assembly resolution on status quo. Shiv Sena MP Sanjay Raut says will enter Karnataka without anyone's permission, calls the Maharashtra government weak. The Enforcement Directorate names K. Chandrasekhar Rao's daughter, TRS MLA K. Kavita in the Delhi liquor scam charge sheet, claims she gave bribe up to 100 crore rupees to the Aam Aadmi Party for a share of the liquor business. Kavita rubbishes the charge. Taliban bans university education for women in Afghanistan. The highest level of education most Afghan girls will be able to attain is grade 6, the final year of primary school. The opposition continues to target the Narendra Modi government on Chinese transgressions along the line of actual control. Congress leader Sonia Gandhi joined the protest where the opposition asked the government to stop Jhula diplomacy and break its silence on Chinese actions along the line of actual control, from Doklam in 2017 to Galwan in 2020 and Yangtze in Arunachal Pradesh in 2022. The Congress insists China is preparing for war, accusing the Modi government of soft peddling the threat from Beijing. Our political bureau with our top story. Indian forces may have successfully pushed back the Chinese army at Yangtze on the 9th of December. The face-off continues to resonate in Parliament. The opposition assembled near the statue of Mahatma Gandhi outside the Parliament building and attacked the Narendra Modi government for not discussing the India-China situation along the LAC on the floor of the House.
डिमांड यही है कि सदन में चर्चा चाहते हैं जो चाइनीज आक्रमण कर रहा है उसके बारे में सदन को इंफॉर्मेशन दो ताकि सदन के ओर से सारे देश के लोगों को मालूम हो। यही चर्चा अगर नहीं हुई, एक तरफा उत्तर हुआ, तो उसका क्या मतलब है? बस।
Several opposition parties united to take on the government, holding placards saying, "Stop the Jhula diplomacy with China."
हम बार बार कह रहे हैं इस पर चर्चा होनी चाहिए। एक तरफ चाइना हम पर वार कर रहा है, हमारे सैनिकों को आकर बार बार बॉर्डर पे कन्फ्रंट कर रहा है। दूसरी तरफ हमारा ट्रेड व्यापार जो बढ़ रहा है चाइना के साथ, तो ये सवाल पूछना लाजमी है कि आप एक तरफ आत्मनिर्भर भारत की बात करते हैं, दूसरी तरफ हम बॉर्डर पे इस तरीके का विवाद देख रहे हैं और आप इसके बारे में चर्चा नहीं करने दे रहे हैं।
Congress MP Manish Tiwari sought a discussion on China's actions along the LAC and China's offensive stance vis-a-vis India.
चीन के ऊपर चर्चा होनी चाहिए संसद में कि चीन और भारत के जो रिश्ते हैं और चीन का ये जो उग्र रुख है भारत की तरफ, इसका क्या कारण है, सरकार की क्या नीति है, इसके ऊपर चर्चा की जरूरत है।
Union Law Minister Kiran Rijiju took the battle right into the opposition camp, insisting that the Narendra Modi government had taken a strong line on China, unlike the previous Congress government.
कांग्रेस ने इसलिए इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बॉर्डर एरिया में नहीं बनाने का फैसला किया क्योंकि वो कहते थे कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बनाएंगे, सड़कें बनाएंगे तो हमारे जो एनिमी है वो उसका इस्तेमाल करेंगे। तो ऐसा सोच रखने वाले आज हमको सीख देने का बातें कर रहे हैं, उपदेश दे रहे हैं, ये बहुत गलत बात है।
Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi also hit back at the opposition, especially the Congress, on the party's China policy right from the time of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru.
Whatever has happened during their tenure, whatever we have lost as far as our land is concerned in the border, let them remind that, and how we sacrificed because of their grand old leader Pandit Nehru, what we have lost and what we have gained, let them study first.
But the crucial national security issue nosedived into political mudslinging and name-calling.
परिवारवाद, करप्ट पॉलिटिक्स, जातिवाद लागू किए नेहरू ने। वो कांग्रेस का जमाना भी अभी बचा नहीं है, वो कांग्रेस गया है। अभी है इटली कांग्रेस। इटली कांग्रेस का कुत्ता खाता है चाइना का, खाता है जाकिर नाइक का।
The government insists both the defense and the external affairs ministers have made a statement on the situation along the LAC on how India is dealing with China. And at this point of time, opposition should not indulge in politics on a crucial national security issue. Bureau Report, India Today. The opposition wants a discussion. The government says a statement has been made both by the defense minister and by the external affairs minister. Let's listen in to what the government has said on the floor of the House.
हर समय राजनीति में किसी के इंटेंशन पर संदेह करना, क्यों इसका कारण मुझे समझ में नहीं आता। चाहे गलवान हो तो तावांग हो, मैं स्वयं ही पहले कल्पना नहीं कर सकता था कि क्या इस प्रकार का करिश्मा हमारी सेना कर सकती है। जितनी ही प्रशंसा की जाए वह कम है।
If we were indifferent to China, who sent the Indian army to the borders to defend us? If we were indifferent to China, why are we today pressing China on disengagement and de-escalation? Why are we saying publicly that our ties are not normal? So we have no problem if there is political differences, if there is even political criticism. I have heard sometimes that my own understanding needs to be deepened. When I see who is giving the advice, I can only bow in respect.
Now, Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu spoke of winning a war without fighting it. Is India's political infighting actually advantaged China, Or is there merit in the opposition saying, let there be an open debate on the floor of the House on the subject? Joining me on India First is Nasir Hussain, is a Congress Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament and leader. Shehzad Poonawalla is BJP's national spokesperson and leader. And Major General Sanjay Meston is a top strategic analyst. He's served both along the LAC in Arunachal Pradesh and in Ladakh. He joins us on the broadcast. But I want to begin by asking you, Shehzad Poonawalla, Congress says stop this Jhula diplomacy, discuss China in Parliament. Why is the government hesitant to discuss Chinese actions on the floor of the House, sir?
Gaurav, I would quote Chinese philosophers, but closer home, the Mahabharata teaches us that even when the Pandavas and the Kauravas fought against each other, when there was an external threat, Yudhishthir said that we are not 100 versus 5, we are 105. And that's what the essence is. There should be no Rajniti over Rashtaniti and Rashtra Suraksha. There should be no Dalhit over Deshhit. And today, what is the Congress party demanding? The Congress party is a master at hypocrisy. When you remember, Gaurav, and you were a younger reporter back then, in 2009 and 2013, Chinese were making incursions, and in 2013 they were well inside Depsang, and at that time the Chinese had actually acknowledged it in 2014. The Congress party, and I quote, Salman Khurshid said that it was mere acne. Manmohan Singh said, Zyada tool mat dena. In fact, there was a threat against reporters like you that if you report on the China border situation, there will be an FIR against you. Now, coming from there, the Congress party preaches to us from a high pulpit. Look at the rules of Parliament. The rule number 186 of Lok Sabha, Clause 17 clearly says that there can be no discussion that refers to seeking of disclosure of information about matters which are in nature secret. I'm referring to this rule. Whether it was Mr. Chidambaram after 26/11 laid a statement, no discussion. In 2010 session, 6th March 2007, an actual attack on the MP Sunil Kumar Mahato, no discussion, only a paper was laid. 2012 session, 2007 about serial bomb blast in UP, only a paper was laid. 2015 session, 26/11, no paper, no discussion, only a paper was laid. This is past precedent of Parliament. This is what they have also done. This is because there are certain matters which can't be revealed upon. But yes, I will tell you what is the fundamental difference between us and them. The fundamental difference is that once upon a time, a defense minister in this country unfortunately got up and said that building no infrastructure along the LAC was the best policy, and we've reversed that policy. And you were yourself at the Sela tunnel, which you saw completed. You also saw 8 more tunnels being completed, 11 additional tunnels being made, the Western Ladakh and Zanskar Valley alternative routes being done, DSDBO being made into Class 70 road, 22,000 troops going to be stationed in the temperature habitat control epicenters that we are making there. Apart from that, the Rafales, the S-400s, the road connectivity, advanced landing grounds, airlines and other rail lines, all being put in Arunachal Pradesh. Is this not a sign of strength?
Okay, you're saying it's a sign of strength, the kind of infrastructure development that's taking place. But Nasir Hussain, government says both Rajnath Singh and Dr. Jaishankar, they've made a statement in Parliament. Why is the Congress not satisfied? If there is an ongoing operation, they say, why would you want to discuss it? It will only benefit the adversary. And why does Rahul Gandhi believe that our soldiers got bashed up in Arunachal Pradesh when the army claims the opposite?
Gaurav, I think Rajnath Singh made a statement of 1.5 paragraph. 1.5 paragraph. And the crux was, everything is Changa se at the border. Jaishankar ji made a statement on external affairs, and there was absolutely no mention of Chinese incursion in that. He spoke about rest of the world, India's relation and engagement with rest of the world. There was no mention of Chinese incursion. I was the one who asked him the question. I asked him, what about China? Then there was no satisfactory reply from him. The point is, we are asking for a discussion. See, Bharatiya Janata Party should understand, in 1962, when a full-fledged war was on, it was Vajpayee, it was Atal Bihari Vajpayee, late Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who asked for a discussion. Pandit Nehru agreed for a discussion. And Vajpayee ji went on and on criticizing the government at that time. See, whatever happened later on is a different story. But then, Pandit Nehru agreed for a discussion. He sat in the house. He heard the opposition and he gave them the answers or clarified whatever clarification was sought. Rajnath Singh ji, the convention in the Parliament is that any minister, after giving this statement, will stay back, will take questions and clarify them. Jaishankar ji, when he was making a statement on external affairs, he did stay back and tried to take questions. Rajnath Singh made a statement of 1.5 paragraphs and just walked away.
Okay.
That is
so
when the
your
opposition
anger is that the government
what
walked
we are
away.
asking for is not a statement. What we are asking, Nani, what we are asking for is a discussion. Why is the government hesitant?
No, in 62 there was a discussion, so in 22 there must be a discussion. In 62 we lost. You want the same result in 2022? I'm leaving it to you. You know, is a discussion more important or is winning against China more important as far as, our leadership is concerned? But let me put that to General Meston. Sir, as a student of the subject, I will only put it to General Meston. General, give us a soldier's perspective on this political fight that's happening in India. Sir, you must. I'll come back to you. We'll keep it conversational, and that is why I also cut Shehzad Purawala short.
I'm still not.
General Meston, give us a soldier's perspective on this political fight that's happening. How would China, the Red Army, in your military games, if we were to take that simile, how would China be reacting to what's happening in India?
Gaurav, a soldier's perspective is very clear. Soldier's job is to do the duty and fight for the country. As regards the political scene is concerned, as a soldier, again I feel that the nation needs to be united as one, put up as one common friend, so that the Chinese side does not benefit in any manner. And whatever differences we have, political differences shall be there and should be there. That should be resolved in some amicable manner, maybe not in the parliament, maybe in some kind of a JPC or something, where these sensitive issues can be discussed, because military issues should not be discussed in open public debate in parliament, because it is live telecast. But certain aspects of economic, diplomatic, which I think could be discussed, but again at the appropriate time, because there should be unison of effort. We need to have a whole of nation approach as to what should be a strategy against LFC or against China.
And as of now, you think we don't have a whole of the nation approach. Is that your appreciation of this situation?
No, my point is something different, Gaurav. Point one is we have to act in unison as one nation. That is point one. Point two is, as a nation today, again, everyone looks for what is the strategy against China. Where is the friction point? The friction point is only in the line of actual control. Since 1988, the JWG was formed during Rajiv Gandhi's visit. We have had 15 rounds of talks. There have been 93, 96, 2005, 2012 agreements. But nothing has moved ahead because tried a level best. But what has happened, the Chinese have not been so cooperative.
Oh, absolutely. So the Chinese are not cooperative. No, today I want to be on the on the political fight that's happening on the subject, not a course on military history. But Nasir Hussain, government says China had to retreat after 73-day long standoff at Dolam. China did not achieve its aim in Galwan is what the government claims. Even in Yangtze, India pushed China back. 3 instances of China being pushed back. Does the opposition not trust the government on its claims?
Gaurav, I think we need to understand one thing. I am completely with Major General Meston when he says that the country should be united on such an issue. Opposition is completely with the army. Opposition is completely with the government. We say that we say that the army should be boosted. There should be enough support for the army, and we are all for the army who is actually fighting there. But what about the political leadership? Has the political leadership failed in the diplomatic? Has failed in diplomacy? Have they failed in managing our external affairs? This jhappi diplomacy and jhula diplomacy has completely failed. Every time you go and give a jhappi, or every time you go and sit with a jhula, they are coming in your territory. Why is it there is an again and again there's a Doklam, then there's a Galwan, then there's a Tawang? Why is this happening? Are we not trying to name and shame them in international forums? Have we taken this? Have you raised this issue in international forums? Have you tried to expose them in international forums? See, there is a video in public domain without audio. The Prime Minister of the country is shaking hands with the President of China. But there's no audio. What we are asking for is, have you raised this issue anywhere? See,
so you want an outsider to solve India's problems?
Pushing them up.
You want third party. Congress wants third party intervention.
Has this issue been raised?
Okay, Shehzad Poonawala, valid points being raised by Nasir Hussain.
I'm not saying.
No, you're raising some very valid points. Why this Jhula? Why this Jhula in Jappi diplomacy? Respond to this. Why not take the opposition into confidence behind closed doors, as the general says? Don't do it on the floor of the House. Behind closed doors. Explain to them what the government is doing. Let everybody keep India first, whether government or opposition. Everyone's an Indian.
Now, I hope the Honourable MP will bear with me because I didn't interrupt him. You know, the only espousal of a biggest diplomatic failure or biggest failure of the government was at a time when Indian army gave a befitting response and broke one country like Pakistan to two parts and got 93,000 of their soldiers to drop their pants and surrender. We gave it all up in the Shimla agreement. So let me not even go into diplomatic failures. Now let me come on to the issue at hand that we are discussing. First of all, what is this, when he says that shaking hands, so shaking hands is a big problem, but signing an MOU is fine, taking Chinese money into an RGF account is also fine. And at that time, what kind of compromises you were making? Tia Panga, Doom Chelly, Demjok, Sorawat Fort, 38,000 square kilometers of Aksai, let's even not get into that area. That was the kind of land and territorial integrity that you gave up of India. Now let me tell you about the parliamentary thing, because he also referred to Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Did you ever hear Atal Bihari Vajpayee get up and ask Nehruji surgical strike hua hai, jara proof to dikhana? अरे नेहरू जी बालाकोट एयर स्ट्राइक हुआ है, जरा बॉडी बैग्स तो दिखाना कितने मारे गए? अरे नेहरू जी ये पुलवामा जो हुआ ये तो आपने ही करवाया था चुनाव जीतने के लिए. डिड अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी ever behave in an irresponsible manner? And in fact, let me tell you about Nehru ji also, because we are now speaking about Nehru ji and Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. Please sir, have the patience. I am quoting from parliamentary record. In 1959, our MP asked Nehru ji that, sir, was a road being built inside Aksai Chin? This was referring to the Xinjiang Tibet road. Mr. Nehru lied to parliament and he said, no sir, don't pay attention to such news items. After that, we have all seen that highway was indeed constructed, and apart from that, how Aksai Chin was lost. This is the tradition that you come from, Mr. Nasir Hussain. Mr. Nasir Hussain, I just have 2-3 questions. First of all, you said what is the diplomatic cost we are imposing on China? Let me tell you about that also. What is the Quad formation? What are the joint exercises in Oli? What is the Pentagon statement that was just issued? But we are not relying on a third party to fight our battles, sir. Today, India is a country of self-confidence, and therefore, after 26/11, you may have been sitting and giving MFN status to Pakistan, but today we give surgical strike, we give Balakot air strike, and yes, from Doklam to Galwan to Tawang, we do Haddi Tod Parakram. They martyred our 20 soldiers, but we killed 50, and when all party meeting was done, when the army told you about this, that time you still doubted. Last point, Gauravji, last point. I have a statement of the Eastern Army Commander, Lieutenant General Kalita. Yes. He says two important things. No fresh infrastructure development in Doklam area. And second statement he has given, and it's a very important statement, that the border areas along the northern frontier are stable. When the army commanders are giving such statements, don't you have any faith on them? Okay. If you don't have faith on army commanders, you don't have faith on army generals, you call them Sadak Ka Gunda. Okay. What is the point? I'm not going into history. I'm not going into history. But yes, Nasir Hussain, the point that the BJP raises, before I quickly bring in General Weston, you know, when you talk about incursions that are happening, whether it's at Galwan or Doklam or at Yangtze, sir, Chumar happened in your government's time, Depsang happened in your government's time. The Chinese have been following this strategy throughout at the LAC. Why can't India react as one entity, to these Chinese aggression?
Gaurav. See, it is the Prime Minister and the Bharatiya Janata Party which claims that Mr. Narendra Modi is a world leader. They claim that he has excellent relations with all the countries. They claim that his Jhula diplomacy and Jappi diplomacy is successful. See, that is exactly what we are asking. Why is there a scuffle? Why is there a skirmish? Why is there an incursion every month, every 15 days? Why is that our army put to test every 15-20 days, every month? Sir, but it was put to test even earlier. There is a long-term perspective. National security. Just hold on, Gaurav. Gaurav, you cannot interrupt me. Gaurav, you cannot interrupt me. You give him more time and you are
No, sir, I give you equal time, sir.
Please allow me to speak. So, can the Prime Minister or the Bharatiya Janata Party government made public the money taken by the Chinese companies in PM case? Can they make it public? We want them to make it public. How is the imports of China growing every day?
That's
Have they
a
taken
very
any
valid
action on
point,
that
sir.
point?
That's a very
See, what
valid
is the
point.
devil? They are
Very
not taking
valid
any
point.
action
General
on
Meston,
the imports and
you know,
exports.
China, we should be imposing cost on China and trade with China. Non-essential items, that is increasing. How are we imposing cost on China? We're actually helping China in carry out its border incursions.
Gaurav, coming on to this import, frankly, I would not like to comment because I'm not an economic expert. But yes, we need to impose lot of cost on China. The fact of the matter is that military development-wise, deployment-wise, infrastructure-wise, we are far ahead. I have no doubts on that. That itself is and you yourself have been to the border areas, you would have seen the difference. We are today dominating the entire watershed.
Okay.
Second, that itself imposes a lot of caution and, on the Chinese. They are very cautious. Number two, what my point, Gaurav, is that today, whether it was Congress, whether it is present government, where is the friction point? It is on the line of actual control between the so-called areas of dispute and differences.
Yes.
That needs to be resolved. Since 1988, we have had this joint working group and so many protocols. We need to firstly...
China clearly doesn't respect any of these joint working groups and protocols. So is strength on the border the only way? Strength on the borders, economic strength, infrastructure, and of course QPQ operations. But will there be an escalation? In the coming days, we will talk about this days and weeks. But can we keep India first? That's my request to all our political leaders. I've run out of time on this part of the show.